How's it, everyone? Wayne and Owen here, and welcome back to another episode of Cosplay Con Talk, where we basically discuss everything pertaining to the cosplay community and conventions. I am here doing another segment on Get to Know That Cosplayer, and I am joined by Lebo Obi-Wan. How do you pronounce? Oh, Lebo One
Lebo one Kenobi.
Kenobi and
Yeah.
Nerdvarro. How are you guys doing tonight? Sorry, it's my
Doing,
Friday. I'm just like at the point of this, and I'm in relaxing mode right now.
don't worry about it. I'm doing pretty well. This is great August weather we're having, huh? It's nice and
Yeah.
hot.
I got to tell you, the summer is completely flown by. It's
Yeah,
just
it's
crazy that
crazy.
we're.
Well, we're recording this
Yeah.
months in advance in February, but this won't be out till August. So.
I can't believe my birthday's here again. That's crazy. I feel like
Jeez.
I
I know.
just had it like not that long ago.
So
But
one thing I
no,
like about this.
seriously, thank you for having us.
Oh no,
Super
of
appreciate it, man.
course. I remember seeing I seen your content on TikTok, and I remember seeing Rick's cosplays on Instagram, and of course his Luke Skywalker one back at that con 20. Wow, yeah, 6 years now.
That's crazy.
That is very crazy. So
Yeah.
basically, this segment we'll be talking about your guys' cosplays, experiences, the conventions you've gone to, advice, stuff like that.
hmm
So to begin, starting with Lebo. What was how did you get into cosplay, and what was your very first convention?
Um, so I've only been cosplaying since like 2016, 17. Um, I've always been somewhat interested in it. And the way I got started into it was with the Star Wars costume clubs, the Rebel Legion and the 501st.
Good.
Um,
I've heard nothing but good things about the 501st Legion.
Really?
yeah, and Rebel Legion as well. Well,
Nice.
yeah, Rebel Legion as well, and Amanda Merckx. But for me, I've always appreciated their community and their charitable services that they've done. Um, in 2000, I forget the exact year, but I had a medical incident where I had a heart attack and was in the hospital and I got out. And a couple years later, I had a son who was born. Um, he was born early, 2 months early. So again, at the hospital. And so as I just wanted to give back to the medical community, and the only way I really could do that was dressing up as a plastic spaceman and doing hospital visits. So, um, so I decided to join the Rebel Legion. Um, at the time as just a generic Jedi, but because of my beard and my costume was similar to Obi-Wan's, everyone called me General Kenobi. So I decided to
You
go
took the
to
moral
join the
high
costume
ground.
clubs. You have to. What's that?
You took the moral high ground.
I took the moral high ground. Right. I
Yeah.
could have just been, oh yeah, just call me Obi-Wan, even though I'm not. Um, but I decided in the Star Wars costume clubs, you have to go for a certain level of screen accuracy. Rebel Legion, 501st, stormtroopers to be screen accurate. Rebel Legion, a lot of people don't know, but to be Obi-Wan, and for Rick to be Anakin, we have to have a certain criteria met. So I decided to go for screen accurate Revenge of the Sith Obi-Wan, which is my technically my Obi-Wan. And again, it was to give back to the medical community for saving my life, for saving my son's life. And it was just a thank you. So I really, to be honest with you, to answer your question, I really didn't do cons for the longest time. For me, I jumped into cosplay immediately by trooping hospitals, Ronald McDonald House. We would do Giants night, a Star Wars night at the Giants game, and Giants night, Star Wars night at the A's game. But I really didn't do cons all that much. Not really until I met Rick, which we will save for part two. I'll let Rick answer how he got into cosplay
We'll do
and
our
cons
solo
he's been doing.
films. We'll do our solo films and then we'll do a team up film. The
And then write the
cosplay
team up.
Avengers. Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, same question, Rick. How long have you been cosplaying for, and what got you, and what was your first convention?
Yeah. So I've been cosplaying, I want to say since about 2014.
Almost 10
So
years. You're at the category
yeah,
as I call it, a cosplay veteran.
I know that next year I got to celebrate my cosplay decade versary or something. I need a cake with a 10 on it or something. Uh, oh, I need candles for every cosplay I've done. So
That's a
Well,
lot of
Comic-Con.
candles.
I'm sure
Yeah.
you've done a lot of cosplay since you've been doing this since like 2014.
Oh yeah, Jason. So get ask Charlotte to make that, our friend who's a baker. Um, anyways, so I got into cosplay. I remember um, back in like maybe like 2013. I was getting more and more into comic book movies and things like that. I think the MCU movies were starting to pick up. I want to say Avengers had just come out, and I was hearing more and more about cons. When I was younger, I didn't really know about cons, and there was one day that I think I was out to lunch with my parents in downtown San Jose, which is where I live, and I saw a lot of people in costume walking around, and I stopped and asked someone like, "Oh, what's going on? Was there some sort of event?" And they said, "Yeah, there's a con, over at the convention center that just happened. Stan Lee was there." And I thought, "Oh my God, that's the coolest thing ever." I didn't really know much about conventions, but I just thought the idea of people dressing up as their favorite character and meeting comic book creators and celebrities and actors and everything sounded like just like it was right up my alley. And so I told myself, I need to make it to a con. And, I had cousins who were really into comics, and they talked about San Diego Comic Con all the time. And to me, that was like, the crown jewel of, a con that I really wanted to go to. So I remember that same day, I went online and I looked up, all the cons in the area, all the cons that I really wanted to go to, like WonderCon and San Diego Comic Con, and basically looked up how to get tickets or badges when they were happening. I think I made a schedule of like when they were going to be
Oh
at
yeah,
what time of the
And San
year.
Diego Comic Con is not cheap.
Right, exactly. It's not cheap, and I knew right then and there that I was doomed, that I would not have a lot of money for the rest of my life. Which was people ask me if I'm into into video games, and I say no, because I know that if I got into them, that would be really really expensive, and that I would not financially recover from this. And I already have an expensive hobby, so
Oh yeah, cosplay is not cosplay is not cheap.
exactly.
Oh, it's
And
not.
cons in general, or traveling to cons, hotels, etc. Um, anyways, so I told myself, all right, I'm gonna start going to cons. I want to say the first con I went to. So what happened after that was what happened after that? I think maybe I think it was a local con. I think it was like East Bay Comic Con. I think might have been the first one I went to.
I've heard of that on
Yeah.
another interview I did a while back.
hmm but I think what happened before that was that a friend of mine had posted on Facebook about a cosplay gathering. So here in the Bay Area, we have a lot of cosplay gatherings. It tends to be a lot of, kind of anime cosplayers, but definitely some, comic book sci-fi characters as well. I haven't gone to one in a while, but basically the idea was that it was a place for people to socialize and to get to know each other outside of the hectic con environment. And essentially they would happen at parks, so you would get a lot, better backgrounds for like pictures, and photographers would come out and get really nice pictures of people. And so I went to that. At the time, I think I had just gotten, for I think for Halloween I'd gotten an Edward Scissorhands cosplay, so a store-bought mass-produced Edward Scissorhands cosplay, or costume I should say. And
It
so
still
I
counts.
well, that's actually the point I'm trying to make, that I think in the cosplay community, we really value, one, screen accuracy, two, if you made it yourself, and we kind of, tend to look down on things that people have bought or things that are mass produced. When in reality, to me, I'm probably getting ahead of myself with the advice and all that, but to me, it really doesn't make a difference. I think that there's value in any costume that anyone puts together in any shape or form, and no one I should say no one treated me any differently because I was in a in essentially a Halloween costume. But looking back, I would look at myself and be like, oh, that really wasn't a high quality costume, but I had a great time. I took pictures with a lot of people, I made a lot of friends. I was happy with how I looked at the time. And I stayed in character, and I had a really great time there. So that would be my first cosplay event. And then I think later I started going to cons. I think later was East Bay Comic Con. Um,
I love your Edward Scissorhands. I think it's one of your best, and you don't wear it nearly enough.
Oh, thanks. Well, to be fair, the Edward Scissorhands I've done more recently is actually a better version of that one. So if you look at those
Got it.
pictures, you see that I've improved my makeup skills and certain things. But yeah, I do love wearing Edward Scissorhands. It's one of my favorite movies.
Nice.
Yeah.
Um, so Lipa, what was your very first official convention?
So it's funny. So my first convention ever was WonderCon when it was up here in San Francisco, and John Favreau was there showing us sneak footage of it was just a quiet movie that it never amounted to anything, but it was called Iron Man, and
I should
he had
watch that.
sneak footage. What's that?
I should watch that.
Yeah, it never amounted to anything, but he had a sneak preview. I mean, it still had the time code on it. I mean, that's how raw this footage was when they showed us, and it was the Tony Stark trying to fly scene was the footage,
Oh, so that was
and
like
then
what, back in what, 08?
Well, it
yeah,
came out in
and
08,
and
so it would have been in 07,
it was
probably.
'07, and
Wow.
not only that, but then Lucasfilm and the same con showed us this footage of something called Clone Wars. I don't know if you guys heard of that, but
I should watch that too.
yeah, it did not go far. I
Oh,
don't think anyone's heard of it.
The Clone Wars animated
Yeah,
series?
yeah.
Oh, wow.
So
Oh, that's right. Yeah, wow. So
it was
you've
God. I
been for
really wish WonderCon stayed in the Bay Area. But here's the thing: not cosplay. Again, this was some of my first steps into cosplaying. I
Oh no,
went
I
to the
count I
The
con.
can
first
Yeah,
steps.
there's no I mean, so
exactly.
you're a convention veteran. So you've been going to
Yeah.
conventions for a long time.
Well, ish. I mean, so that was my first one, and I'm sure I've been to smaller ones since then. But I just didn't have the courage to cosplay. The first time I ever dressed up in costume was Star Wars Celebration Anaheim, not this past one. So that must have been like
Oh,
that was The Force
2015.
Awakens.
that
The Force
convention's
Awakens.
I was there too.
that convention has been on my list for years.
Oh, it's a fun one.
Oh,
Um,
I believe it.
and going back to what Rick was saying about costumes, I had a cheap Obi-Wan costume that I got off of eBay. No way would this pass club standards to be a generic Jedi. It was very it did its job. People kind of knew who I was, you know, but I saw the 501st, and I was so into it. The Rebel Legion. In fact, the costume that I saw that impressed me the most at Star Wars Celebration were Rebel Fleet Troopers because it's such an obscure costume that like, oh my god, like I know who you guys are, and that's insane that you spent time and money to dress up as a Rebel Fleet Trooper. So that was the first time I dressed up
I was
at
there
a
with the cheap
con.
Anakin, and we didn't cross paths at all. That's funny.
That is funny.
For
Oh,
anyone
who
wondering
knew?
for anyone who's not familiar with Star Wars, this is what a Rebel Fleet Trooper looks like.
Yep.
I, I just
Yeah, but it just amazed me
I
that
love their
that was thing.
helmets.
Their helmets are fun. Um, but then the first con that I cosplayed at that I put effort into it was again another Bay Area con that's long gone that has never returned was it was called Heroes and Villains,
I've
and
heard
it
of
was
that.
usually around it was usually around September ish. I just got approved in the Rebel Legion as my generic Jedi, and I went by myself. Um, and but I had such a good time because I latched on to other Star Wars cosplayers. That I'm going to toss out names that you may or may not know, but I like bumped into I hung out with like Rachel Lifton, who was a Leia, her brother, who was an amazing Luke, their dad,
Mhm.
who made their costumes. Sincerely Krista, who was also she was I think a Padme, and her boyfriend was an Anakin, and we just hung out and I had such a great time just cosplaying. It just was my first these were my first steps, but it was like it was really just it was my first steps into a larger universe because I had so much fun. And again, I joined the Rebel Legion to do the charitable part, but I didn't realize you could also go to cons and have that much fun.
Oh yeah, no,
So those are my first.
you can have a lot of fun at cons from what I've seen. Which brings me to my next question. I kind of turn this into a two-parter. I will ask Rick first. So when going to a con, whether you're just going as attendee or as a cosplayer, what advice would you like to give for those who want to go to their first con as just a con attendee and as a cosplayer?
So I'll start with cosplayers. So like I'm trying to find a way to give advice that doesn't sound cliched that you haven't heard a lot before. But one thing I was thinking about when I was thinking about like what advice to give is honestly it depends on what your goals are. So like, you know, if your goals, are your goals to basically to have fun, or your goals for your cosplay to be, popular, to go viral, or your goals, to make friends, to make people laugh, are they to get into a club? For me, my goals have been different for every cosplay. So, for my Anakin cosplays, my goal at first was to try to get into the Star Wars clubs. Um, so if your goal is to be screen accurate, to try to get into to meet the certain criteria, obviously, advice would be to try to either develop the skills necessary to make a screen accurate costume, or to get to know people that are able to do that. Like, I have some friends who are able to make costumes really well. And so, they've been really nice, and I've commissioned costumes from them that have helped me to then meet the criteria to get into, costume clubs. Um, there's other costumes that it doesn't matter to me how good they look, whether they're screen accurate. All I want to do is to have fun, to make other people laugh, to make friends. Um, so for me, like one thing that I've tried to do with those costumes is to find my own like niche. So I don't know how to make costumes. I don't know how to sew. I don't know how to like, make armor or anything like that. So I've had to find, what's something that I'm good at. And so, for me, I think what I've tried to really, to really emphasize is, my own humor, my own personality, my own uniqueness that I bring to that cosplay. um, I realized that I was good at making people laugh. I was good at like making signs that go with my cosplay that were, clever. I realized that I was decent at kind of embodying the character because I was familiar enough with the movie or with the show or with the comic or whatever it was that I could, kind of embody the character and interact with other people who were also in character. Um, I realized I was good at, sort of advertising, selling myself like on social media so that people knew who I was. So, really it just depends on kind of what your goals are. It's um, one other thing too is that if your goal is to sort of, try to embody a certain character, then, I would go with, maybe a character that you're familiar with, that has been around for a while, like a movie you've really enjoyed for a long time, or a show you've really enjoyed for a long time, because you're going to be more familiar with that character. You're going to know their lines. You're going to know how they, how they react to certain situations. You're going to know their mannerisms. Um, the downside to that is that it's probably a costume that a lot of people have done, like Anakin. Lots of people have cosplayed Anakin. I cosplay, off the top of my head, Tom Riddle from Harry Potter. That's the costume that, lots of other people have done in the past because it's been around for a while. Um, but I'm familiar with both those characters because I've watched these movies over and over and over again. So it's really easy for me to kind of get into that character. Whereas if your goal is to try to, to for your costume to get really popular, to go viral, whatever the case is, then maybe you pick a character that is newer, a costume that, for a movie that was just released, or for a show that was just released, because then, people are more likely to see that and go like, oh wow, cool, I haven't seen this before, and they'll want to, reshare it on social media or whatever the case is. So it really just depends. But for me, obviously the ultimate goal when you're doing cosplay is really just to find what you want to do and to have fun with it. Because if you're not having fun, if you're doing it, using it as a sort of a competition or comparing yourself to other people, you're not going to have fun. So it sounds cliched, that the goal should be to always have fun, but it's true, because otherwise, then what the heck are you doing?
Oh, I hardly agree. Before I ask the second question about that, Lebo, same question.
Um,
Advice for cosplayers who want to go to their first con.
so if you're going as a cosplayer, first of all, I just want to agree with Rick and compliment him on that. I have worked in my day with many Anakins, but I can honestly say he is by far the one of the best Anakins out there. And I think it's because he embodies the character. He's not good with children. He hates sand. But but no,
And he never
seriously,
and he
It's
never
on my
gets the high
shirt.
and he never gets the
he
high
never had the
ground.
high ground. But
Exactly.
he does in embody that character. And I think my advice to cosplayers, like Rick was saying, is that no, you don't have to be super screen accurate at all, but know thy character. If for cosplaying, I mean, there's other advice you can give, like get there early, hydrate, make sure you get your panel schedule. I don't go. It's so funny. I always forget about panels. Like everyone's like, "Oh, what did you do at the con? Did you go to this panel?" I'm like, "Oh, you know what? All we did was just have fun. We just walked around." My daughter's getting into cosplay, and we'll go to a con, and she'll be like, "What did we do?" And I'm like, "Oh, this is it. We just walk around and just pose for pictures." But I think it's just really know your character and focus on and go and it really helps if you also go with people in the same genre of your costume. I love groups. I think groups are awesome. Again, going with how Rick is an amazing Anakin. I've done Obi-Wan many. I think we're getting into our first Avengers movie. I think so. I've done Obi-Wan at many cons and um many cons and many appearances, and it was always fun. And I've had other Anakins with me, and I'm not saying anything bad against those Anakins, but the first time that Rick and I teamed up, I think we didn't even really know each other that well. It's like, oh, you're going to be at Silicon Valley Comic Con. I'm going to be there too. Let's just walk around, and it really took off. And I think we really just complement each other in our humor, our creativity, and just embodying our characters. And so, if I was to give advice to someone, I would go in a group or a partner or a friend who's in the same niche. Um, Other costumes that I've done in groups, I'm in a group called the McVengers, which is a mashup group of fast food
I've heard of
and
that, and I've actually seen.
yeah,
I've seen the Ronald McDonald Thor,
yeah.
and I think
So
I saw like
McThor,
a KFC one.
yeah.
It
So
was
there, yeah, that's
Wendy's.
there's Wendy's Widow, KFC. I think is Captain America. Um, I do Happy Star, which Happy Star is the mascot of oh my god, Carl's Jr. And
Happy Star.
so but I'm Star Wars,
Oh,
so I
you.
have a big star on my head,
Oh,
and
you're
I dress
happy.
as
Oh,
Star Wars.
okay. From.
So I'm Happy Star Wars, guys, the greatest. No, forget it. But but it's
By the
just
way, I have an
because
idea for that, and I have to work on it. I want to be El Pollo Loki,
okay,
like the Mexican restaurant, but I'll be
you
Mexican
should.
Loki.
I think I think the Avengers. I think we're kind of like the MCU Avengers, where I don't think we're broken up, but I think we haven't really joined
Oh, I know.
together in a long time since the pandemic.
I think the first time I heard of the McVentures was actually seeing ones of McThor. That's like the first time I ever heard of
McThor,
it.
he's the founder.
Yeah,
McThor is Brandon.
red
Yep,
beard, and yep.
he's the founder.
God, I remember seeing
He's the
pictures
one
of
who
him back
started it,
with
and
a
Wait, you guys
couple
broke
years
up
ago.
like a band, like the Beatles?
exactly. I think I think the one that I joined them in was Silicon Valley Comic Con, and I think it was our biggest grouping. And I think there were maybe like 18 of us, including Grimace, who is Thanos. Um, there was a lot, and but then the pandemic hit, then the dark times. But
Damn you, pandemic!
exactly, it's like the
Five,
snap.
3 years ago, we
Um,
lost all of us.
Oh, jeez, yeah.
but so yeah, so my advice is go with a group and just focus on the fun and make sure you and know your character and have fun with your character. I used to cosplay as Kylo Ren, and my costume was as screen accurate as you're gonna get, and I struggled being the character because I'm a nice guy, and I don't know how you be a villain. I can't do a villain, and it was really hard for me to be a villain, and not yeah, and not yeah, it was just really hard for me. I have a TIE pilot. That's easy because he's a grunt, so I don't really have to talk. But
Oh,
Ren,
you
I had
did
a
you
pilot.
did a TIE pilot? Nice.
I do have a TIE pilot. Yeah, that's my 501st costume as a TIE pilot.
Oh,
Um,
I love their armor from
I like the TIE. I think the TIE pilot's a classic, but But for me, I'm just generally good guys. Another costume that Rick and I do together, we've never done it in a con. We've only done it in a movie theater, is young Dumbledore and Newt oh shoot.
I mean,
News Commander.
Yeah, I was.
Commander,
I,
yeah.
I was
I
gonna
remember
mention
actually
that.
seeing I remember seeing your new and your young Dumbledore.
I mean, part of the
We've
reason we
only
haven't
done it in
done
a
that
movie
is
theater and a photo shoot. Yeah.
right. I mean,
Oh,
part of the reason we haven't done that is just because the franchise has died out. But
Yeah.
for reasons we don't have to go into.
Oh no 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 no.
But I was going to mention just that to piggyback on what you were saying, that it's great to obviously you can cosplay any character you want. You know, if even if you're a good person and you know cosplaying a villain, it's still great if you have fun and you embody the character.
Sure.
But at the same time, it's easier if you can find a character that kind of matches your energy. I really had a lot of fun with Newt because he's very awkward. He's very kind of hyperactive. He gets very hyper fixated on certain things. He just carries a lot of stuff around and he's just running around all the time. That was part of the fun that I had with that character because I feel like there are certain qualities that I can, you know, that I can embody. With Anakin, there are certain things I can definitely relate to. There are other things I can't relate to. I don't kill kids. I'm not very good at building things, but I can be very whiny and moody. So there's that.
You hate
And
sand.
I do hate
He
sand
does hate
Rough, of
exactly.
sand.
course, it gets
Although
everywhere.
I
Well,
gotta I gotta tell you though, I hate sand too. I'm just not a fan of it. It does get everywhere.
I think Jason actually hates sand more than I do.
I think I do.
Uh, but I mentioned, sorry, I'm like taking the mic back.
Oh, you're fine.
That's
I
okay.
mentioned finding a character that you share some energy with, but it's also important, like Jason said, when you have a group that you find people that you share an energy with, and I think that's why Jason and I work together so well because we both. Really enjoy humor. We both, are big on social media. We're not big on social media, but we both really value posting online and sharing things with people. So I think that our goals overlap a lot. Whereas I've collaborated with people whose goal isn't to necessarily to get a lot of attention or to make people laugh, and we kind of can butt heads sometimes because maybe we took a picture and they're like, "Oh, I don't want to post that," and I'm like, "Well, then why did we take the picture?" To me, it's like you take a picture in costume; it's to share with other people. So, like, with Jason, I always know, what he wants to achieve with something because it's usually the same thing I want to achieve. Um, so, always find people with similar goals, similar energy.
Wholeheartedly agree. Back to Lebo. Same question, but advice for con attendees who don't want to cosplay, just want to go for the con experience. What advice would you want to give for them?
Then I'm gonna go with hydrate. I think no, honestly, I think just take it all in. Know that you are not going to you got to keep it simple, especially at like really big cons. Like let's just use Celebration as an example. You're not going to hit every panel. I went to Celebration for three. I gotta tell you, last Celebration I went to, Rick was my roommate, and I hardly saw him. Like there, he's still posting pictures of
It's a big
Celebration.
convention from what I've seen.
It,
How it was like big last year from what I
it
saw.
is, and I'm like, did we attend the same? When did that even happen? But I just know you're not going to achieve everything you want to achieve. So I would just have one or two goals, like a certain panel you want to go to, but I mean, you're not going to bump into all your friends at really big, huge conventions. And I say just be fluid. Just know that if you're coming in with a plan, that might get disrupted because you might bump into someone. You might be dressed as a Loki variant, and you might bump into someone who's like, "Hey, we're doing a Loki photo shoot at 3 p.m. Be there." And next thing you know, you go there, and there's all these Lokis, and you're like, "This is so fun." Oh, but that's a cosplay. Sorry, non-cosplayers. I say just still be fluid, and just have a small plan, and just know you're not going to achieve all of it, but just go with what you can go with.
Oh no, I wholeheartedly agree on that. Like you said, you can make a plan, and next thing you know, you're off taking selfies with a Darth Vader or a Jar Jar Binks, or
Right.
you're hopping, you're panel hopping.
The Chicago celebration Rick and I were at, we were just taking so many pictures, and we had planned photo shoots. We were supposed to go to for like the Rebel Legion, And we would be taking so much fun pictures, and I'd be like, "Oh shoot, we just missed the Rebel Legion photo shoots." Like, we're having too much fun, and we just kept on going. And then I look at my watch again. I'm like, we missed a Jedi photo shoot. It's like,
Then
okay, you know what?
and then next thing you
Let's
know,
do this
like
one. And
next thing you know, day one is over.
Dave,
Um,
the whole thing was over.
Same question for you, Rick, for non-cosplayers who just want to go for the con experience.
This one takes some thinking because I haven't done non-cosplay at a con in a very long time. Actually, we did at
Oh, that's not
D23.
true. I made him do that in D23. I made you do
Yeah,
that
that was
for more cons.
horrible. I hated it. I felt like a
I
nobody.
know. I'm like, there's
No,
no time to go back and get dressed. We're just walking the floor.
to be fair, that was a great day. We went to like the the Disney panel, the live action panel, Lucasfilm, Marvel Studios. So we had a great day. But then like we had half the day and we were really hungry, and by that time there was not enough time to go back and get dressed. So Jason's like, let's just go in our regular clothes. I was just like, all right, fine. Um, but no, I think I've been to one con not in costume, and then like half of one day at that con not in costume. But I would say I agree with Jason that cons are there's a lot going on. There's a lot of panels. There's a lot of a lot to see on the floor. I would just say good advice is to kind of research in advance, like look and see what panels, what activities are going on. A lot of bigger cons have apps, like San Diego Comic Con, WonderCon, Celebration, all have apps where
They
you can see
do?
the schedule in advance. Yeah, they
Oh,
make their own apps.
that is cool.
And even if they don't have apps, I mean, they all have websites which have schedules on them. You can
Even in
see
like
like
your
who the
even like your pamphlets, but an app, that's I mean, I know
oh yeah, the
I
bigger
know,
cons.
I know Wi-Fi's at cons suck, but the fact that there's an app, that is really
Mhm.
cool.
Oh, absolutely. They're not all very good. They're revamped every year. But I really like celebrity guests and photo ops and things like that. So I want to see like who's who's going to be there. Is there someone I do want to take a picture with? What times will they be there? So I really plan everything out, especially for the bigger, more hectic cons, because there's a lot of things that I want to do. And like Jason said, you can't do everything. So you kind of have to figure out what you're going to do. But if you just wing it, there's a chance that you might not get to everything. So, plan out, what you're going to do. Know that you're going to be really busy. So, maybe bring some food with you, or get some food at the beginning of the day and carry it around with you, because to stop and to have a decent meal is going to be hard. You can go have a decent meal, several blocks away, but by the time you get back, you'll have, that'll have taken up like 2 hours. So
And con food is not cheap.
yeah, exactly. It's not cheap.
It's not.
Um,
And I'm going to take the mic for a second
yeah, that's fine.
on this one. Food is key, and what drives me bonkers is fear of missing out. So, like, you're really hungry, you're really thirsty, and you look at the line for the food or water, and you're like, that's like a 45-minute wait. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to forego food. And I could tell you at Celebration, we went to Disneyland, and we were just always on a run. And it hit me that I just had no food, no water, and our friend Jazzy, like as soon as we got to Disneyland, she had to run to Starbucks and get me something to eat because I was like just out of
Oh,
everything, and it got spooky, and I think bringing snacks is a good way to
and
go.
I'm sure you guys can both agree, whether you're as a cosplayer, whether you're an attendee, have a set budget.
What's the budget?
Well,
Well, but I mean, I know from previous guests I've had on, I always ask them about what their thoughts are on for a budget, because whether it's for food, whether it's for merch, autographs, you name it, and I'm sure you guys can agree. And this is usually, always a different answer. I'll ask Lebo first. I'll ask Lebo first. Would you recommend, if someone has, a budget, would you recommend they try not to spend anything on day one and just like wait?
you're kind of asking the wrong person, and not the reason why you think. I gotta say, I'm impressed with my restraint, and so yes, I don't usually buy anything day one, and I usually talk myself out of it by day two. Like I'll see something amazing, I'm like a helmet or something, and I'm like, oh my god, I want that. I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it tomorrow, and then I'm like, how am I gonna get that on the plane? Where am I gonna put it in my house? And so I'm really good at talking myself out of a lot. I'm not super big on celebrity autographs because, to be fair, I don't know what to do with them when I get an autograph. I can't. I mean, people can display it at their house. I just don't
You
display it at
forge
my house. So I
checks.
just don't. I force exactly. Um, so for me, the only thing I might spend money on is a photo op, and um, it really depends on who or what and how much. I know usually I'm lucky enough. So again, when you go with friends with the same interests, it's very easy to say, who, hey Rick, let's get a picture with Hayden Christensen. Done. The Emperor. We're gonna do it. I think the only one that I splurged a way more money than I probably should have, and even Rick was like, "Wait, we're not gonna do this one together." I'm like, "I think I'm gonna do Ewan McGregor by myself." And I got to tell you, I saw the PayPal or whatever or the receipt a couple of weeks ago, and I'm like, "Oh my god, what? I
Yeah.
spent that? Like, I can't believe that I shelled that out."
You
I
did
can
a photo op by yourself.
I can attest to like you look at it because yeah, that's the thing now. A lot of celebrity guests have like a PayPal you can I remember C. Andrew Nelson who was wore the Darth Vader suit in the special edition of Empire Strikes Back. Yeah, he had a PayPal thing too.
Yeah, I think they're getting smarter that way. I know the armor Emily Swallow, she had an app. What's that little app called?
Square.
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 She has Square, which is really smart.
Oh yeah.
I remember at WonderCon years ago that when the Iron Man one, I got a picture with Lou Ferrigno, and he was like, "You got to pay, and it's cash only." I'm like, even then, I'm like, "What's cash, dude?" All right, hold on, let me
Well, I
find
mean,
his
he
ATM.
I can understand Lou Ferrigno. I mean, not no diss on the OG Hulk, but I can understand why he would because some of the older guests anyway we're
He wants the
deviating.
green.
That was
Yeah, the green one.
that was also years ago.
Oh yeah. So Rick, what's been your favorite con that you've gone to so far over the past couple of years that you've been? I mean, I know everyone will say, "Oh, I don't have a favorite," but
Oh no, I
or
have a
I have
favorite.
favorite. I have favorites.
all right. So Rick, what's been that one favorite con of yours that you like you always enjoy going to no matter what?
I think I have a few favorites, but I think if I had to pick one, it would definitely be the one that we keep talking about, which is Star Wars Celebration. And I want to say it was Chicago. I think
Yep,
Jason's probably going to give the same answer, and we
same
talked
exact
about
one.
this a lot. We just
Same
had a
exact
really
one.
good we just had a really good experience. So I'd been to Celebration before, but at the time I was really new to everything. Again, I had a really cheap Anakin costume. I went with a friend. We had a great time. We saw like the Force Awakens panel, so that was really cool and definitely one of my favorite cons ever. But when Jason and I went, we both had known each other for a little while. We both had that was actually the first time I wore my upgraded Anakin. Okay, so I had Anakin 1.0 at that first celebration, and I had Anakin 2.0 for a while, which is still not that great, but it got me into the Star Wars clubs. And then I had Anakin 3.0, which is what I have now, which I'm much more proud of. And that was the first time I'd worn it. So I felt great about how I looked. I was just starting to make friends in the club. So, like, I knew a lot of people. I saw a lot of people I knew. I made a lot of, new friends that I'm still really good friends with. Um, Jason and I spent like the whole con together. Like this last celebration, like Jason said, we didn't spend enough time together. Because we both kind of committed to a lot of different things. So I think we went from I went from first celebration not having a lot to do to just the right amount to then having too much to do at the latest one. So but Chicago was that Goldilocks con. It was just the right amount. And we hung out. I didn't change costumes the whole time, so I just really just had
Stuck
fun
with
with that
Anakin.
costume. Yeah, this last time I was like Padme. I had like multiple costume changes in a day,
Oh,
and it was just I
jeez.
had fun too at this latest Anaheim one, but it was a lot.
Oh,
Um,
I'll bet.
I
and
agree.
yeah,
For me, it was Celebration Chicago, and I think a couple of reasons. One, it was a travel con, so God, I hope this doesn't make me sound snooty, but when you see people at say Anaheim or San Jose, you walk in the floor and you're like, "Hey, how are you? Good to see you." And you're chatting, you're chatting, you're chatting. You take two steps and they're like, "Hey, good to see you. God, I haven't seen you." And you can't get very far. But in Chicago, it wasn't as crowded as people we knew, and so again, Rick and I were just starting to become really good friends there, and instead of some bumping into people we knew, we were bumping into characters we knew. It's like, oh, there's a Count Dooku, there's a Mace Windu, and so we could just get pictures or do whatever. So for me, it was Celebration Chicago was really I think my favorite con of all time. And to Rick's point, it was the Goldilocks because we had the perfect amount to do. That was actually the first. This is, I guess, our Age of Ultron story, our Avengers stories continue. That was the first time we went semi-viral, and that was the escalator video that we did. I don't know if you ever saw it.
I think I have seen it. It's over. Can I have the high ground of yours just going
Yeah,
up the escalator? Yep,
up
I
the
have seen that.
escalator.
I've seen that on
And
Instagram. I've seen it on TikTok. I've seen it on
God,
Facebook.
we trended on Reddit for like a split,
And I think
like
I
a
seen. I
hot
think I
second.
seen it. I think I seen a small snippet of it on YouTube.
So
Yeah,
if
it's
you
been on
saw it,
YouTube.
there's a good chance you saw one of the people who were who took the idea and ran with it too. Because after we did it, it seemed like every Anakin and Obi-Wan cosplayer started doing it too.
If you guys have video
So
of that, let me know so I can show it on here when I edit
Yeah,
it.
I'll send it. I'll send it to you. But what's funny about that is, people copied us, but initially our plan was to go viral to copy someone else. Our initial plan was to do the jealous girlfriend meme,
And I
and
think I've seen. I think you guys.
yeah,
I think
we
Rick. I've
did.
seen.
So SoCal Costumes did it with Julia, and I think Griffin was Han, and they did the jealous girl, and we saw that, and that was at I think WonderCon in Anaheim, maybe a month or two before Chicago. So we did that and we posted it, and it did really well for us. I think it was like, oh my God, we're semi going viral. But it was the escalator video that it was just a last second thing that we decided. It's like, I grabbed some dude. I said, hey, here's my phone. Jump in the escalator right before me, and we're gonna do something. You'll know it when we do it. You'll know what we're doing. And we did it, and it worked in so many different ways that we did have the high ground. You had the Rocky theme in the background. You had
there was
for
a Sith going
years,
down.
everyone said it was Emperor Palpatine going down the escalator. Someone finally pointed out that was Kylo Ren, and when you zoom in, I'm like, it's one of those like Easter egg things, or those things that you believe it's something, but it's something else, and it's totally Kylo Ren, but everyone thinks it's the Emperor. It was just for me, it was Chicago. I also, yeah, it was my favorite. I felt like that was my best Obi-Wan looks. I mean, it's the same look, but I felt like I was in complete shape back then, and it was just so fun. And maybe the expectations were set too high for Anaheim.
Oh yeah,
We tried to recreate the same experience, but maybe it was just like you can't recreate that perfection.
lightning doesn't strike twice. So like we tried to do another escalator video again, and for one, we were like butting heads about how we were going to do it. I was just like,
I'm
no,
like,
we have to do
no,
it this way, and you were like, no, it doesn't make any sense. We can't do it that way. I'm like, no, the way you're saying doesn't make any sense. And we had friends like gathered, like who were going to film it for us, and in the end, it worked really well. I'm really happy with
This
it.
is the.
But like it,
the
that
new one. That's
is
the
the
one
new
in
one. Yeah.
Anaheim.
Hmm.
That's the one in Anaheim.
That is
The other
just
one,
so funny.
yeah. And you're right. It was the end of the day. I was like tired of
Oh
grumpy. It's
yeah,
like
this is the one.
That's the
that's
one.
the
Yeah,
that's
I
the one.
remember. Yeah, I remember seeing this. Oh God, yeah.
That's the one that we got, and I think it just reappeared not that long ago. When I say not that long ago,
Yeah, I remember
within the
seeing
past
like
12 months,
clips.
that
I
someone
remember seeing
posted that.
clips. How long ago was this? If
That
you can
was
remember.
2019.
Chicago, so it was 2019, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, I
That's right.
remember. I remember seeing clips of that, and I was just busted up laughing. Um,
But
so
also, oh wait, now I'm rambling, so I'm just interrupt you. I think for me, my other favorite cons were non-cons, and not that I want to say the pandemic was fun, because it wasn't, but like due to social media, like TikTok, Rick and I we just had a show. Like we would just do different sounds, and again, we couldn't be together because of quarantine, but we would just text each other like, hey, let's do this one, do at this one, do one at that one. And I think that really reinforced the chemistry that we have, that we just had so much. I mean, as much fun as you could have during a global pandemic that we're all about to die, but I think we had a blast. I mean, Rick, you can correct me if wrong if you had a miserable time, but I know I had.
Oh, I was
we
miserable. No, I'm just kidding. No, I actually feel horrible saying this because, clearly, that's, everyone, it was a really difficult time, but like, because I was safe, because I was allowed to work from home, like, I was just having fun on social media with Jason the whole time. And I'm like, okay, that's, I had a blast.
yeah.
Um, no, absolutely. Miss the amount of TikToks that we were doing. I want to start doing more. We have some plans to like, do some Ant-Man ones coming up soon. But no, it was
Nice.
great. I look back on those original TikToks we did, and I'm like, man, I want to get back into that.
Yeah, I even reposted one that like 2 days ago.
Nice.
I'm going through our archives and I'm like, oh, this was a great one. This was yeah.
So, next question, because you guys have both traveled out of state for cons, it sounds like. One of you can answer first. Advice for those who want to travel out of their state to go to a con, whether it's to a different state or out of the country.
I'll let Rick answer that one first because he
Oh,
traveled
great. I
more than I
was
do.
I was about to say I'll let Jason answer that one first. So I would say the advice is, similar to the one I gave before, which is, just to do as much research as you can. You're going to be in an area that you're not familiar with. That you're going to not know the convention center as well because it's probably one that you haven't been to before. Um, so I would definitely, look at, again, the panels, the guests that are going to be there. Find out, find out which one of your friends are going because while it may be fun to do things by yourself, one, to stay safe, just to go with other people. Like if you have other friends going, maybe consider rooming with them. It'll save you some money. It'll you'll have more to do. You won't feel quite as lonely. For example, let me give you an example of what you shouldn't do. So the first time I ever went to San Diego Comic Con, I got my badges. So I got my badges, and then I didn't really know the process to get a hotel. It would have been too expensive for me to have a hotel by myself. I didn't know anyone. I didn't have any friends who were going, so I went by myself, and I stayed in a hostel. There was actually a hostel just down the street from the convention center. I got there, I didn't know what a hostel would be like. And so, you share a room, you're in a bunk bed with complete strangers. Um, I got there
Wow, that's
really late,
crazy.
I know. And the room that I was in had no air conditioning. And so the
Damn,
window was open to the gas lamp district, gas lamp quarter, so you could hear everything. I
damn,
didn't get any sleep, one, because there was all this noise and it was so hot. And then the guy across the room from me was having night terrors. He was screaming in his sleep things like, "I'm gonna kill you! I'm gonna kill you!" And like I knew they were night terrors because I could tell like the man's asleep, but I was pretty terrified. And so it was just a really bizarre experience of everything that you shouldn't do to basically to stay safe. Um, so I got switched to a different room and everything was okay, and I was safe and everything, but I look back on that now. Now I have a lot of when I go to San Diego Comic Con, I have a group of friends. We coordinate, to help each other get badges. We coordinate to split up the hotel room. We coordinate waiting in line for Hall H. So go with people you know. Obviously that's going to be hard the first time around, but if you can, try to convince your friends to go with you, so you can keep each other safe, look out for each other, and just have more to do.
That's some pretty sound advice. Same question for you, Jason.
uh, I haven't traveled nearly as much as Rick. I think you need to plan as a cosplayer, you need to plan your cosplays better. I think for Celebration Chicago, I brought, God, I want to say,
And
I
Chicago can
think
have cold weather too.
it can. Well, honestly, all of our costumes are hot no matter. I mean, it could be wintertime. I mean, even Obi-Wan is just like layer upon a layer upon layer, and you just sweat the whole time. But I want to say I brought, I always forget the number. I want to say it was 7 or 8, maybe 9 costumes to Celebration Chicago, and I only wore 3. And so it's like I clearly
I mean,
overpacked.
it doesn't hurt to, it doesn't hurt to bring extra cosplays just in case something happens to one
No, it
cosplay.
doesn't. But again, I guess I wanted to have the experience Rick had in Anaheim, where I'm like, I'm going to be Obi-Wan, and then I'm going to do my Blue Squadron pilot, and then I'll be my TIE pilot, and then I'll
You're what?
bring.
You're what pilot? I heard the type pilot.
I have a Blue Squadron from an X-wing pilot,
Ooh, Blue Squad. Okay,
and
let me write that. Let me write that down so I don't
And
forget.
I also have I did wear this. I have a mashup costume that I love. I do Jafar from Aladdin mixed with Boba Fett. So it's Jafar. It's a Mandalorian Jafar.
Jafar Fett.
Jafar Fett. And actually, if you do that, if you search for the hashtag Jafar Fett, I own that hashtag. I own it.
I'm gonna do that right now.
I even have a Iago. I have a Porg who's Iago on my shoulder, and I got a lot. So it's my favorite. But that took a lot of space in my luggage, and so for me, if you're going to travel, I would keep it simple and light, and bring your favorite cosplays, and don't go crazy. I have ADHD. I don't think I'm a very good roommate. I'm like past the edge, the
Is
age. Yeah, that's it.
that is
That's Mark one. But yeah,
oh
I've
that
improved.
is that is that is
Iago's not even
so cool. I love
Iago's not even in that. That's Iago is phase two. But I'm just
I love the Disney Star Wars mashups.
oh, it's so much fun.
Oh,
There's so many.
there he is. You can I'll show a bigger
It's
picture, but that is I want to. So when we get to get to the cosplays, I want to ask about that.
but because I'm ADHD, I'm completely unorganized. I'll have like my lightsaber in a hand, and then for 2 seconds later, I'll lose it, and I just wig out because I'm like, "Where's my lightsaber?" And so I remember Chicago because I had all these costumes. I'm like, "Where's my Jafar Fett gauntlet?" And then even when I roomed with Rick in Anaheim, I kept on losing things, and it was just that was in our room.
This
So
cosplay is your life.
exactly. Well, let's
A lot of Star Wars.
let's not talk about leaving lightsabers someplace
Sorry,
that we
guys, I gotta
shouldn't.
go. I almost lost
I
Jason's
loaned
lightsaber,
I
but
loaned Rick a
luckily,
lightsaber for just
Oh,
safety of McGregor,
he's gonna kill you.
and
and I
he
didn't
left
tell him
it
for
at
the longest
secure
time.
and
Uh,
which is the
a
best
lot of Star
part.
Wars references in this episode, but I don't mind. I don't mind it.
Um, but anyway, I would just pack light, and I would use organization, which I'm not good at, but I would pack light, and that's just my advice for traveling cons. Is keep
That's
it
some
simple.
pretty sound advice. So before we end the convention portion, one last question. I'll start back with Rick. So this won't come out till August. So what cons will you have gone to before this is out, and what cons will you be going to after this?
What cons will I have gone to by then, or like what cons have I been to recently? Or
This, like I said, this will be out until August. So what cons will you have gone to by the time this will be out, and what cons will be going to for the end of the year?
Mhm.
I gotta look at that.
So I'm planning on going to Emerald City Comic Con in
Ah,
Seattle with some friends. I'm going with the clown car.
When are you
I know
going to? When are you going to that?
I'm going beginning of March.
Oh, I would have loved to. Oh,
Oh, do you want to go? Let's go.
I know some people who are going to ECC.
Yeah.
I have another friend who does Star Wars. He did a Jedi Elvis one time.
Oh,
I know
cool.
Jedi Elvis. I've seen him.
Yeah, I have a no, I know some people going to ECC. That's pretty fun
Yeah,
from what I've
I've
heard.
never gone before.
I heard it's a fun
So
con.
yeah, I'm excited for it. So Jason, if you'd like to go,
Yeah, let's talk
let's
offline. I
do
don't
it.
know when it is, but
No, we'll do it now. Just kidding.
We'll do it now and you'll look it.
San Diego Comic Con, I have my badges for that, so I'm excited about that. That's an annual thing. Um, Dragon Con, will be my first time going. I guess that's technically end of August, but
I've heard of I also Dragon Con is probably a number one mentioned con on this
mhm,
series, and it's
mhm.
nothing but good reviews from what I've heard.
I'm intimidated by it, to be quite honest, because I've never been there before.
It's the Disneyland of conventions, but for mainly adults.
Yeah, well, to
I backed
me,
out of it.
yeah, I Jason was gonna go, but I think it's intimidating even for me. Like I
Oh
decided I
yeah,
want to go, but I'm
that's a
used to
con.
San
You
Diego
have
Comic
to.
Con, and like that's hectic in its own way. But Dragon Con just seems like one long party, which
Oh,
I'm not necessarily a party person. I'd like to be, but I don't think I health wise, just energy wise, I don't think I have the stamina for that kind of thing. So
oh
I'm
yeah.
probably gonna take it in short bursts. And then I'm thinking, and I was actually going to mention this to Jason. I'm thinking possibly WonderCon. So we can talk offline about that one too. But those are the ones that are on the docket for now.
Yeah, no, I've heard Dragon Con is definitely a con you have to prepare for from what I've been told. Um,
But I'm really disappointed that Star Wars Celebration is so far away. I really would have liked to go to that. I mean, I
What
I
thought,
is,
you know,
agree.
let me go
where's
for
that?
every.
Where's that gonna
It's
be?
in London. It's in London in April.
Oh, so it's a traveling. Okay.
It is.
Okay, I thought it was just like they do it like have it in all the states. I didn't realize it was a traveling. Yeah, no, I heard some. Oof, yeah. Jason, same question. What cons will you have gone to by the time this is out, and what cons do you plan on going to after this is out?
So it so I have I have a family, so it is as the kids get older, it's harder and harder for me to be away. You know,
Completely understandable.
when they were younger, and it was much easier. But they're both in competitive sports, and not only that, I actually really enjoy watching them play. As a nerd, I am not athletic. I was never athletic, so just to see my last name on a jersey and see them do well is amazing to me. They get all their athleticism from them.
Your
From
younglings are now Padawans.
They are. My son is not into cosplay at all. Maybe that one day will change. I'm working on a Henry Jones Sr. cosplay, and for
And
him,
I have seen your Henry Jones Sr.
yeah.
cosplay.
So for him, I am working on a Henry Jones Jr. cosplay, which is ironic because his name is Henry and he is named after Indiana Jones. But
We named the boy Henry.
exactly,
Name the dog Indiana.
yeah, named the dog Indiana.
Fond memories of that dog.
So and he's somewhat into it. But as far as cons go, for the most part, I'm really at local cons. We're both going to go to Carrier Con, which is in
That's right.
March ish,
What
and
is?
that's on a retired aircraft carrier in the Bay Area. It's
Ooh.
the USS Hornet and
Hence the name.
carrier. And I will say, as far as photo opportunities, it has a lot of amazing backdrops for Star Wars, for Captain America, for
Indiana
any type
Jones.
of Indiana Jones pilots, TIE pilots, X-wing pilots. If you're watching, if you're watching this in August, you missed a great con in March, and
Well,
look for it coming
be
up.
sure to look for pictures.
Yeah, we will for sure.
Oh.
I have a California con. I could be interested in going to. I do want to go to a travel con, and I could be into ECC, but it might be too soon for me to muster that up. And WonderCon I do want to go to, but that's Henry's birthday weekend, so that's out. So looking at it, then after when this airs, Fan Expo, which was Thanksgiving weekend. It is this Thanksgiving weekend. I had fun at that one. If I'm in town, I'll go to that one. It's sad I don't have a lot of cons that are approaching that I can really go to with schedule. I don't know if there'll be Silicon Valley Comic Con. I keep checking the website. They have not updated that to 2023.
They don't
And
usually update it until closer to the,
Yeah,
closer to the date. So
I've noticed some cons will like do it like a month or 2 months before the con, and it like gives like everyone's like in full panic mode because they have to get their cosplays ready.
right.
Oh boy.
So I wish that I could say that I was going to a lot more. It's just hard for me to, and I'm looking at this California con schedule. It's just really hard for me to know when I'll be free and if I can
Oh no,
go.
I hear that, and it's just there's always that the budget constraints of if you can go to a con or not. So
I'd love to go to maybe and I'm from there. I would love to go to maybe New York Comic Con. I think be a fun one. Emerald City would be a fun one. Um, I think um, I think San Diego Comic Con. I think that'd be too overwhelming for me. Dragon Con, ironically, this is sound horrible. I don't think I was sober very much in Chicago Summer Celebration. So the partying aspect is not what intimidated me from for Dragon Con. I think it's just a lot of waiting, and I think
oh,
it's just something
oh,
I wasn't
no,
looking
that's
forward to.
totally understandable. There's like 3 hotels connected by a sky bridge, and it's a party con. I get that. It's one
Yeah,
of those it's one of those like I mean, hell, to me, San Diego Comic Con seems intimidating, but what I've been told, there's always stuff to do outside, so you don't like have to like pay the price to go in. You can always do something outside, from what I've been told.
yeah,
at San
Uh,
Diego Comic Con,
yeah, I've
right?
been told by like a few people who've gone to SDCC that if you don't want to pay the tickets to go in, there's always something to do outside.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's the case with a lot of big cons where there's enough cosplayers and enough activities outside that to, that draw people in that, You don't actually have to get a badge. Like I do that a lot for like anime conventions. Anime conventions are always really, really well attended. So, I often go because I'm not that into anime. I just go to see friends and I usually just,
And the best thing about
hang
an
out
anime
outside.
convention, you don't have to cosplay as an anime character, which
Right.
brings us to our next segment, the cosplays portion, which is probably one of my favorites. But first things first, real quick, one question I always ask when doing these, Jason, what are your thought? What advice would you like to give to a cosplayer who wants to get someone who wants to get into cosplay and a cosplayer on a budget? Would you recommend like thrifting and stuff like that if they're on a budget?
Oh, I'm the wrong person to ask this because I used to have an insane Etsy budget that I would just like buy a lot. Um, yeah.
Just
Can you
just
repeat the
advice,
question?
just advice in general for cosplayers on a budget, I
You
guess.
you can thrift. I would find friends who have skills, who or who might be a seamstress or whatnot. Um, I will say one of my hobbies is 3D printing, and I got into
Ooh, and
3D
I and
printing
I
because
love your George Lucas bust, by the way.
hey, that was Rick's Christmas present. But
Right
oh,
here.
I think he went to go get it.
That is, I'm just sorry, but that is so now if you can get George Lucas to sign that.
Oh, that's
Someone
the goal.
someone
In
said
fact, she's going to be on screen the whole time instead of me, if that's all right.
someone said you should have done one of Obi-Wan, and I said I gave that to Rick like 3 Christmases ago. I gave him an Obi-Wan 3D
That is
printed.
I
that
have
is
that
a
one
really
too, but I
deep
don't.
that is a really detailed George Lucas bust.
It is the gentleman who makes those files of that George Lucas. He makes the best of breed Mandalorian files on Etsy. Um, God, why am I starting? I'm blanking on his Etsy shop. His name's Darren, but he makes best of breed the Mandalorian files on Etsy.
Nice.
Um,
Is
but
it Dio 3D?
no,
No.
I'll
Here's the Obi-Wan one.
there's still one. You still
Oh,
have
that
it.
is.
Um,
But it's still
Oh,
not the coolest thing you've ever 3D printed for me or
well, the
the
coolest
most
thing
work.
I gotta say, the coolest thing I ever 3D printed for you is that, and that's one of my favorite things I've ever printed.
that
Um,
is. But yeah, you were saying like if you're into 3D printing, because I know people like will 3D print stuff for their cosplays.
yeah, so my advice is I would find people who can help. One of my really best friends who got me into cosplay is Kitty Cosplay, and she was always really there for advice. She helped me make Jafar Fett. She helped me cut this before 3D printing. She helped me cut the armor. She helped me paint. I 3D print people armor, and it's kind of like, hey, I'll 3D print you this if you can maybe sew me that, or at least a discount or something. Um, so my advice, if you're on a budget, is thrift shop, make friends. I got to tell you, I wish that people, and maybe they do this, and I'm just not aware of it. I wish people did more uh, trading or selling old cosplays, especially for kids. Like
Upcycling.
now that my kids are getting into it, it's just like, oh my god, I know your kid outgrew their armor like 5 years ago. That's got to be in a closet someplace. And I wish that they would sell it. But
Gotta get Logan Winter official to his dad
dude,
to sell all those
that Logan
cosplays.
kid, like all his cosplays, eventually he's gonna outgrow them, and they're
Oh,
all phenomenal.
the one who did the
The kid,
did you do the one of Moon at the premiere?
Yep.
Yeah,
yeah,
Yeah.
those are really, yeah, I'm sure he's outgrown it now, but like I agree, hand-me-down cosplays,
yeah.
pass them on to someone that will
I
fit.
would take all my kid like Hadley. She did the armorer, and she's outgrown her first chest plate, which I think I gave to our friend Chuck. But it's just like here, Richie doesn't wear this anymore, and that hurts for done. By the way, just because I wanted to give him a shout out, Great Ape Studio Art is the one who made that George Lucas bust files and makes the best of breed Mando files. But so my advice, if you're on a budget, is then I would learn the skills. I can't. I should learn how to sew. I don't. I'm getting better at painting, and then 3D printing was my way to save money. I 3D printed mine and Rick's TVA Hunter from the show Loki. I printed our armor for that, and honestly, it's a huge cost savings thing because back in the days I used to go to Etsy and it'd be like, what is that, a $300 for armor sold? Now it's just like, what is that, like $40 for PLA done? And yeah, it's just easier.
Oh no, it's crazy. I always make a running joke on here when I can how one of these days they're gonna make a giant machine that you just putting your height, weight, and measurement, and they'll have make a full on cosplay.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
I'm just, it's a running joke I try to make here on occasion. Same question, Rick. What advice would you want to give to cosplayers who want to get into this hobby or those who are on a budget?
I mean, I think I kind of touched upon that earlier, which is, not every cosplay has to be screen accurate. Obviously, costumes that are screen accurate are going to be more expensive because you're going to either, commission someone to make it screen accurate and it's going to cost a lot more money, or, you'll have to find some sort of, master replicas or something online that's just, cost thousands of dollars, et cetera, et cetera. Um, I just want to say it's okay to buy from your costumes from a random cosplay website, easy cosplay, cosplay sky. I'm not making commercials for them, but I'm making the point that it's okay to just buy something that
Oh
you
no,
find online if
and
you're
there's
trying
nothing
to
wrong
save
with and
money.
there's nothing wrong with buying a mass-produced cosplay.
Right, exactly.
As
So
long
that's
as you
something that
as
I've
long as you go a size up, because I've learned
true.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I think we can all attest here. We've learned that going a size or two up is probably the best thing for when it comes to buying a mass-produced cosplay.
hmm So like I mentioned, Jason and I are gonna do some Ant-Man cosplays. And so
Ooh.
I was I was wanting to save money because I, had like a really expensive Christmas, and so I, basically would have gone to like maybe Etsy and found like a higher quality Ant-Man costume. I was looking at some; they were, close to like $500, and I thought, well, I would really like that, but I'm gonna just kind of lower my standards a little bit and get
You
something
sometimes
off
you
of
have to, and there's nothing wrong with that.
yeah, and get something off of eBay or Amazon, and that's what I ended up doing. And it's fine, it's certainly not to the level of quality that I would have liked, but I was able to save a little bit of money, and so it's worth it.
Oh, I wholeheartedly agree.
Mhm.
Now to probably my favorite parts of this. I'll go back to Jason. What is that one cosplay you had not done in so long that you would like to bring back?
Oh goodness gracious.
I
God,
have a
I wish you prepped. So a cosplay that I haven't done in so long. Um, it's so weird because the other thing is, and Rick can correct me if I'm wrong if he's the same way. I have a lot of cosplays that were just for TikTok,
Mhm.
like that's never seen outside my house. Like
Right.
I 3D printed Vision, a Vision helmet. Although I did wear that to the movies once. But like I have a Doctor Strange that I've never worn outside my house. Um, I have Mandalorian is done. I actually need to lose weight to get back into it. But I'd love to bring the Mandalorian back out. I just need to drop another like maybe 10 or 15 pounds to get back into the suit.
This is the
Um,
wait.
this is the way.
Yeah.
Oh, Anakin. Um, so, uh, but it's weird. My comfort cosplay is Obi-Wan, and it's the one I enjoy wearing the most. But it's funny. I saw an interview with a movie star the other day, and they were saying something like how you get cast as that character, and then some. Oh, it was Doc Brown. It was Christopher Lloyd.
hmm
He was in a movie, I think, A Thousand Ways to Die in the West, and
yes, I
and
saw
and
I
I
think I
saw
know
the
what
scene,
you're
and
talking about.
yeah, and they were saying how, so he made a small cameo as Doc Brown in that movie in the West, and they were saying he really loves that character, and it's refreshing because you'll have some people who are just known for that character and they just want to separate themselves from it. And I will say there was a time that I'm like, Obi-Wan again. Here we go, fine. But and I didn't do Obi-Wan for a couple of months, and we just did. What did we just do, Rick? We just did
Oh, the Warriors game, or
the Warriors game. Yeah, it was the Warriors game, and I'm like, you know what? I kind of miss being Obi-Wan. It's my go-to. It's my comfort cosplay. I miss being Obi-Wan. I feel like I do a decent Obi-Wan, and I miss it. And so I texted if you want to do it, and we did it together.
Mhm.
Um, so it's
This
one
time we'll
cosplay
do
I've
it
not.
together.
I was about to say that. um, so to answer your, I'm rambling. The cosplay that I would like to bring out to like day is probably the Mandalorian. But honestly, I just really like being Obi-Wan. It's just my favorite.
And there's nothing wrong with it. You answered a
No,
question I was going to ask later on. What's your favorite cosplay altogether? And that
it is, and I have
I'm sure Rick is going to say his favorite is probably Anakin.
Bilbo Baggins
um
hat.
I have
Well, you done Bilbo?
Oh yeah.
Oh, nice.
But my
It's
favorite,
Anakin
actually,
for
my
sure.
favorite Obi-Wan, but is hard to wear is I have a Lego Obi-Wan, and
I
I
saw I saw your leg with where it's his ghost form and then just
I have just regular, and that was I like wearing that one too, but that one I need a handler
oh I
because
mean
it
because I'm sure Vision
I zero vision, I can't hear,
I can't see anything under this.
and at Celebration, right,
Now I'm sure you
and
know
at
how Luke
Celebration
Skywalker
Anaheim,
felt in
yeah,
episode 4.
Celebration Anaheim, I couldn't go 2 feet without being stopped for a picture, and I wouldn't mind bringing that one out again.
I imagine visibility was not the greatest in that thing.
No, I can't. But because of wearing Mandalorian, because wearing TIE Pilot, and other helmeted characters, I get really good at walking slow, using my feet as feelers when I walk slow to make sure, if I feel like I'm gonna kick someone or hit someone. I'm really okay at it, not being able to see, but still being able to function. It's the
Huh.
hearing part that I have trouble
Oh,
with
I'm sure.
because y'all hear, hey, can you stop for a picture? And I'm like, it echoes in there. I'm like, I have no idea. And I will stop for a picture, but I have no idea who's talking, who said that. And yeah,
Well, I agree. And you guys also answered my question about, bring as I put a convention exit buddy, someone to bring with you, like a handler or someone to go with the con so you're not like being alone or just things get crazy. Um, Same
that
question
would
for
be
you.
my advice for yeah, have a handler. But
Especially if you're
costumes where you can't see,
doing
or
like big bulky cosplays.
big bulky cosplays, or honestly, it's sad that we live in this world. But if you're a female cosplayer and you're wearing a skimpier cosplay, you need to have a handler with you to stop really creepy dudes.
Oh no,
And it's sad that we live in that world, but
I wholeheartedly agree on that.
yeah.
Same question for you, Rick. What's that one cosplay you've not done in so long that you would like to bring back?
We touched on them, so definitely Newt Scamander. I really love the Wizarding World. I love Fantastic Beasts. I'm really sad that that franchise has kind of fizzled out for lots of reasons. And that was I had lots of great experiences as Newt. I one year at San Diego Comic Con, I got to meet the cast, got a picture with Eddie
Nice.
Redmayne. I went to New York once to visit a
They
friend, and
invited you to
also
the red carpet premiere,
Yeah,
right?
I saw pictures of that.
no, I didn't go to the red carpet for Fantastic Beasts, but I did get to take a picture with the cast at Comic Con when they did their panel. I got
Okay.
to ask a question during the panel, so it was like a red carpet experience, but it wasn't actually the red carpet. I don't remember what they did. I think that year was in Paris, so it wasn't feasible. Um, but anyways, like I have a lot of great memories with Newt. And so, it would be nice to have more opportunities. Obviously, the movies are probably not going to happen anymore. And there's just a lot that goes into wearing Wizarding World cosplay. Like, is this kind of ethical? Is this something that I really want to be promoting or not? Anyways, that one, I think Jason mentioned Edward Scissorhands. I love wearing Edward Scissorhands. I think I get more of the desire to wear that like during Halloween because I always associate it with like that time, like either Halloween or Christmas. So I tend to wear it around those times, but it's always fun to wear that one. I think those two probably. I wore Tom Riddle briefly the other day because there was
Because it
a
was Tuesday.
house. Yeah,
And
exactly. No, it was there was someone built Diagon Alley in their yard, and so I went and dressed up as Tom Riddle, and it was fun. I barely even fit it anymore, but I
Well, there's
definitely
gonna be that cosplay you don't fit anymore because you got tall or just,
exactly. So I miss wearing that one too. So a lot of the Wizarding World ones, I would say.
nice.
we should do the a Fantastic Beast photo shoot or something. We plan on doing a one with Jen.
Yeah, and Megan.
Um, yeah, Megan. We should
Yeah,
totally fire it up again because I do like my young Dumbledore and
right.
just never have an opportunity to wear it.
Yeah, exactly. I'd be down. We go to
Um,
Speakeasy.
Back to you, Jason. So I have this question I call is what's been that one and done cosplay? It was a cosplay that you did once, you've never done it again, whether it's for a group, you were curious about what it was like cosplaying the character, but you just never done them since because it just wasn't worth it at the time.
It's not that it wasn't worth it. There's not a need for it. I mean, for me, I think Kylo Ren. Again, it was just hard to be the villain.
You're known to playing like good guys or a TIE pilot who doesn't have any lines.
That's right. It's hard to be a hero villain. Is that the right? It's hard. Yeah,
I would consider him an anti-hero because he kind of had a little
yeah,
redemption
sure.
in the Last Jedi.
I gotta tell you
Or no, Rise of Skywalker, my bad.
one cosplay. In fact, hold please.
Oh,
No, it's not that big. It's not that amazing. It was the first helmet I ever printed.
I
We
love
we
that.
don't normally.
I love the TIE fighter helmet in the background, by the way.
Oh yeah. In fact, there's two. There's that one with the skull, which was a character on Star Wars Resistance, a cartoon that didn't. It's one of the few Star Wars cartoons that didn't go very far.
Oh yeah, I remember
But
hearing about that.
one year my son got to pick our Halloween. We don't normally do family. I try to get the family to do joint, a themed Halloween costume, and no one's really into it. But my son picked Fortnite. I am not a Fortnite player,
Eh.
so I researched my costume, and I love this cosplay. No one will know who it is, but the one I did for myself was Rust Lord, which again I don't play Fortnite, but it's the first helmet I printed.
I don't play it either, so no
But
worries.
I do love how this helmet came out,
It
and
looks really cool. Plus, you can honestly change that and make it into something else if you wanted to.
sure, no, absolutely. But
It would
I
go
would
well with a
never. I
pair of
did.
Crocs.
There would be no reason for me to ever wear this ever.
I mean, if you wanted to, you can, you know, I can't remember the name of the race, but from someone from Dathomir
Sure.
with how the
Oh,
horns are.
the Rick will know. He's good at races. Dathomir.
Sabrakins?
Something like that's it. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
still yeah,
Zabrak.
whatever Darth Maul, whatever race Darth Maul is.
Zabrak.
Yeah, that.
But yeah, the one and done. I think for me would probably be Russ Lord or Ren. Thank you.
Makes sense. Same question for you, Rick. What's been that one and done? Whether it was for a group because someone asked you to, you were just curious about it, or just for a
There
hell of it.
was there might be more. I'm looking at some old pictures to try to jog my memory. I did Star-Lord when Guardians of the Galaxy 2
Really?
came out. Yeah, I did. That's
I did not
exactly
know
my
that.
point. But I didn't really wear it again because although I love
Who?
Guardians, I know exactly. Um, I don't
Okay.
particularly like relate to Star-Lord. I don't, I can't, the character has a lot of energy that I don't always have.
Oh yes,
Um, and so I didn't end up wearing that one very much. I wore it like maybe twice, maybe three times at a con around that time. Didn't wear it again. What was another one? I also I had a really cheap Kylo Ren that I wore around Force Awakens and Last Jedi. But everyone was doing Kylo Ren back then, so I kind of,
Oh,
I did the thing that I say not to do, which was not to compare yourself with people. And I was comparing myself to people and thought, okay, I can never get to the level of like other cosplayers right now who are making it screen accurate. So I didn't really go any farther with that. But
You
those
make
are
a
two
good
that
Ben.
I've.
You could make a good Ben Solo.
Thanks.
Sure.
you got
One
the
thing I
voice.
did.
You kind of sound like you're.
Thank you. One thing I did get is I have a giant silicone flesh suit that I can wear. It's all muscles, so I don't actually have to work out. So I can do Ben Swolo.
Oh God, yeah, I remember that from the last. Oh
I
God.
actually got it so I could do some of the shirtless Anakin moments from like the first cartoon. One where he's fighting Ventress, another one where he has the
Oh,
blue kind of
back in the
tattoos.
mid 2000s before. Oh God, yeah, I
The first
remember.
Clone Wars. I
Yeah,
want to do
where
the
it's like where I consider it canon how Mace Windu basically, caused General Grievous to have that breathing problem.
Oh yeah, that show actually explains a lot of the stuff in the movie. It's too bad it's not canon anymore because it works really well to tie the.
I consider it canon, but that's just me.
Yeah, I do kind of the same thing. I still watch it when I do my watch through. But yeah, I want to do that shirtless Anakin when he wakes up from the nightmare. But I don't want to work out, so I paid money to have to have fake muscles.
It works. It works. So you guys already talked about your favorites. I want to go back to Jason. Ever had any, as I call them, cosplay mishaps where something ripped, snapped, broke, fell off, shattered, anything that could go wrong, did go wrong with a cosplay, whether you were getting ready for convention, a photo shoot, or just at the convention itself?
Rick, do you want to go first in this one? Because I can't. I've never had
I'm
any
trying.
mishaps.
I had one, and I
Or even
can't
if it's
remember
like
what.
even if it's like something minor, they didn't notice
Well,
until like until like later on.
I
oh,
mean, I gotta say I'm pretty lucky. I know once I did a Kylo Ren for a school for special needs. It was a troop, and I was Kylo Ren, and I mean it's so minor. It's I noticed that my cowl, one of the cape that should be behind over my shoulder, was like forward, and I'm just like, how did anyone not? How did I troop this whole event and no one ever stopped me? I know once as Obi-Wan, we did a Make a Wish. Before I knew Rick, we did a Make a Wish reveal for in a movie theater. A kid was going to Disney World to train to be a Jedi,
Oh,
and they picked
nice.
me to bring him down to grant his wish. And it was January. January is a heavy month for me. You have the holiday, you have Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas. So I went a little up, and the Velcro on my belt gave as I was going up the stairs to get the kid. So my pouches and my food pellets are just shooting all over the movie theater, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, come on, kid, this is your wish. Um, this is what it's like being a Jedi." Um, but
So
I think that was probably
uncivilized.
it's so uncivilized. I think that was probably the biggest mishap. I think for the most part, I've been, knock on wood, pretty lucky. And again, for the most part, I just do Obi-Wan. So there's not much other than that belt mishap that can go really wrong with that one. I'm trying to think of my helmeted characters. I mean, I'm sure I tripped in Lego before. I tripped as a TIE pilot before.
Haven't hit your
Because
head
of
on a door that's going down.
have not hit my head on a door that's going down. Yeah, I haven't flown my TIE fighter too close to my boss's TIE fighter and spun into a wall, nothing like that. I think I'm good.
Same question for you, Rick. Any cosplay mishaps, whether it was something major or minor?
I remember now what I was trying to think of. At San Diego Comic Con one year, I had a sign, and basically instead of like drawing it on, I used like some sort of like I want to call them like they were essentially like letter stickers, but like
I've
they were
heard
like post-its,
I've heard of
and
those.
I didn't like secure them well enough, so they started peeling off, and it was really windy that day. So it actually became that scene from Guardians 2 where like they're asking like, does anyone have any tape?
Your tape.
Because I needed tape, and like you would think, like I would have had some tape, but I didn't have any tape. And I stopped random people to like ask, "Hey, do you have any tape?" And no one had tape. I should have been dressed as Rocket. That's what I should have done. Um, but
Not a single person has tape. Have you asked Nebula?
exactly, that's what it was.
What was the sign saying?
So at San Diego Comic Con, if you've been there, even if you've seen pictures, you have probably seen that there's a bunch of super right wing religious
Mm-hmm.
protesters that yell at people.
Seen my first experience of the
Yeah,
of people like that at a
yeah.
small con years ago.
Right, exactly. Not to get into like politics or religion or anything, but like these people are not nice. They're very verbally abusive to the people that walk by. Anyway, so my thought was let me make fun of them. And so I did two cosplays. One where at the time again Wizarding World was still cool. Yeah, it was Tom Riddle and it said something like like a recreation of their sign exactly, but it said the Chamber of Secrets has been opened, enemies of the air beware. I did one the following year that where I was Tony Stark, and it was the same exact sign that looked just like theirs, but it said something like Tony Stark gave his life for your sins, or something like Tony Stark died for your sins. The end game is coming, I think. I can't remember what it was. And so, anyways, it was one of those two. I can't remember what, but everything started peeling off. I'd heard about that there was a I can't remember her name, but there was someone at San Diego Comic Con who goes every year who basically fixes people's costumes, and she's on Twitter, and I found her Twitter and I like sent her a message and asked, "Hey, do you have any tape?" And she did, and so she came like across the con to like meet me just to help tape my sign, and I was so grateful
Nice.
for her. She just
Great. That's awesome.
I love
yeah
cosplay repair stations and the people who just like have their backpack full of like
Oh my
sewing
God.
needles, glue
Wait,
guns.
I had the best mishap story.
Okay.
And I was going to tell about the Hayden Christensen sign story, but I got even a better one.
that's a good
But
story too.
so it was the first Silicon Valley Comic Con. And oh my God, what's his name? The guy who hosts Tested and he used to do
Adam
Mythbusters.
Savage.
So I had a
He has
Mandalorian.
his own Comic-Con now.
That's so yeah. So I have a helmet, a Mandalorian helmet, and I had fans in there, and a wire got caught on my ear, and it
Oh.
snapped. And so I went to the cosplay repair station down in the basement of the con, and it was the tested group. The tested group, Adam Savage tested, had a cosplay repair, and I'm like, what are the odds of you guys having a soldering iron? And because I need to solder this wire, and they said, oh, we do have a soldering iron. So I'm like, great. So I can't solder because I have gloves, gauntlets, chest armor. So everyone in the tested group is trying to solder this wire back together. And I could tell it was getting escalated by the person. And they couldn't do it. They couldn't do it. And finally they said, hold on. Adam Savage comes out. And hopefully this is my Mandalorian pilot helmet.
Oh,
I don't wear it anymore.
that looks cool though.
It's awesome. Adam Savage comes out, and I don't know if you can see it, but he does the full. Where's the camera?
Oh yeah,
He does,
wow.
he completely tapes everything. He solders the wire. It's hard to see the autograph, but he wrote "fixed Adam Savage." It was videotaped. It was insane.
Oh, that is cool. I mean, the fact that you had someone like a technical engineer genius like Adam Savage himself, which I think the fact that he, owns Silicon, that con is really cool.
Yep, it's his now. It's now Silicon. But yeah, it was just you could tell it was progressing, everyone was finally soldering it. You could tell where the story was going. I could tell that they were gearing to bring him out. And
like we need the master.
Yeah, and he came out, and to your point, I joked about how the fan is really supposed to just keep the visor from fogging up, but if you want to make any super enhancements to it, feel free. And it was this was and this helmet, by the way, just to tell more about this helmet, someone wrote me and they're like, dude, your helmet is on fabric. I'm like, what? And this helmet someone made Mandalorian helmets, random Mandalorian helmets on fabric, and this was one of them. And so I bought 5 yards, and I had our friend Erica make me a COVID mask, and I still have other I still have the remaining yards. That's what I'm going to do with it. But this helmet got popular for some reason.
I mean, well, not to mention you have Adam Savage who signed it.
Adam Savage's helmet. I don't wear this. You know what? What we talked about, a cosplay that I'd like to bring back one day. I should wear this one day again. I don't know why.
It'd be also be a pretty cool story to tell for those who have never, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Oh man. I think, did I ask Rick already if you had a cosplay mishap?
I did. I talked about the sign.
Oh,
and the tape and
okay.
all that.
So my next one is probably my favorite one, and I'll start with Rick first. I call it convention horror stories / awkward weird moments that made you go, "Did that actually just happen?"
So, I think the biggest horror story was the one I already told, which was staying at a hostel, and it just,
that does sound horrible.
It was pretty horrible. It wasn't great. I didn't get any sleep that first night. Awkward. There's been a lot of them. I can't really remember them. I tend to repress those memories. But I want to say a couple of the ones that stick in my mind because they involve celebrities. They weren't like horrible. Like they were just kind of awkward and funny and just kind of running into celebrities. So I remember at our local convention at Silicon. I think Silicon Valley Comic Con one time I was walking by and Nathan Fillion was walking this way and he was walking really close to me, so I just raised my hand to like give him a high five. I was just like, "Hey, nice to see you, Nathan," and he just like completely just kept walking. He's like, "Hello," and just didn't high five back, which it's nothing bad, you don't want to high five everyone you see. That's especially even before COVID, there's still germs. There was another time, similar thing. I was walking down an aisle at a con and I saw Lou Ferrigno, and same thing. I didn't go in for a high five. I just basically looked at him and was just like, "Hey Lou, how's it going?" And he puts up his hand to me like that. And says nothing and just keeps walking. And I'm like, all I did was say hi. Last I checked, he wasn't charging to say hi to people. But I just thought that was weird and awkward, and that one kind of left a bad taste in my mouth because I thought, who would do that? It just one thing is to ignore someone, and then to put up your hand to someone's face to be like, "Don't talk to me."
No
I
touching.
don't know. Yeah, exactly. So that's all I can think of right now.
I think
Um,
my favorite awkward celebrity moment was with Rick, was with Hayden Christensen.
Okay, that was awkward.
So we pitched in to go in a photo opportunity with Hayden at Summer Celebration Chicago. Rick has a sign that says like
uh,
I hate sand, right?
Essentially, it's the sand is crossed out and it says rough, coarse, irritating, gets everywhere.
yeah.
And one of the things I don't like about celebrity photo ops is they just rush you. You're it's a machine. You're
And it's
barely
not, and
you have
it's not the celebrity, it's the people running the photo ops themselves.
absolutely, but it's just so awkward,
Oh, and
and
I
you have no time. So we're Rick and I is like, all right, go in. Rick's gonna give Hayden his sign of I hate sand, and we how we're gonna pose. Rick wants to be at a certain size because he wants a scar visible. I need to be on this side. We have everything like plotted down for this the 4 seconds we're going to be there. We have all 4 seconds plotted out. We go in. Rick goes to give Hayden the sign, and Hayden's like,
I'll
"I'm not
ask him,
touching.
will you hold it?
Will you hold it?" And he's
Yeah.
like, "I'm not holding that
No.
sign." He refused to hold it, which
I
completely which completely threw us all off because I'm like, we did not have a backup plan. Our whole entire photo op was contingent on you holding this sign.
I I
And it
I
was just,
I I I get why he did it, because I'm sure people have asked them to, just like
I've
Harrison.
seen him hold buckets of sand. I've seen Hayden Christian hold jars of sand.
I'm sure he was being rushed too, because I've heard stories where they overbook photo ops,
Sure.
and the con staff can just get really mean to the attendees, to where the guests like, yeah, if you're gonna be mean to the guests, I don't want to come back.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. And
And
then
another thing,
my Lou Ferrigno story is that at that WonderCon, I shelled out I got cash. I paid the $25 for the picture, but before I did, there was this new invention called a digital camera, and Lou is doing Polaroids, and I have this new thing. It's crazy. It's witchcraft. It's a digital camera. So I asked Lou. I said, "Hey, I'd like to get a photo, but do you mind if I use my new device called the digital camera?" And I get he needs to make money, and I was not saying I wasn't going to pay, but he was like, "You still have to pay, though." I'm like, "Dude, chill. I will pay you your money, but dude, relax." He wasn't very nice about it. Um,
And I've come to realize with some of like older classic guests, I remember hearing at a con, um, on TikTok, some guy was talking about a con he went to, saying how some Billy D. Williams was like charging $100 for autographs or pictures or something.
yeah, and I get a lot of them really don't work as much anymore, so that's how they make their money. But some of them are just, yeah,
Some of them are there for the guest, and this is no hate to celebrity guests, but some of them are there to make the money. Some of them are there to interact with the fans.
right. Stan Lee, I think he should have
Oh,
stopped making up. He should have. I don't know who was controlling him, but I remember the last Silicon Valley Comic Con I saw him, and like he was not
he
healthy,
was
and I'm like, why is
oh
he here? Like I'm like, he's a
he loved his fans,
he
was the
loved
thing.
his fans, but it was clear towards the end someone was just making money off of him,
oh yeah.
and it was really sad to see him. He was being wheeled, he was being wheeled for a break, but I'm like, I don't think he was conscious. Like I'm like, it was just was horrible
That's
optics. It was not looking good.
Stanley is known for making a. I mean, hell, there's a con named after him.
Right.
That's crazy. So next up, favorite convention moments. Starting with Jason, what's been your favorite all-time convention moment? Like to this day, it sticks with
We
you.
talked about it. I really think the escalator video is a tough one to beat with me and Rick. It was just it was not the one we planned. It was not the one we planned, but it was the one we deserved. It was just like
It's
it
like
it, it just took off, and it really cemented our whatever duo the name for our duo is that really sparked it. Um, I think that's for me for sure. Other events that come to mind. I really like being in the McVengers. Um, Another one is again my daughter's getting into cosplay. We did this tiny con in Santa Cruz. Emily Swallow was a guest, the armorer, and my daughter went as the armorer. And
oh yeah,
Emily
I
Swallow,
remember seeing your picture of that.
yeah, she fan.
Really well made cosplay, by the way.
Thanks. And again, that's where not being screen accurate, but just being resourceful. So I 3D printed the chest piece, the helmet, but like The skirt is a leather skirt we found on Amazon. I found fur at Joann's Fabrics, and I don't know how to do it. I just cut it the shape, and but Emily Swallow like fangirled over my daughter, and it was such an amazing moment for me as a dad, proud dad. My daughter, who was just like insane over about it, and in fact, my daughter refused to take the helmet off. Like Emily asked, "Hey, do you want to take off your helmet?" And my
I
daughter's like, "I can't
mean,
do that. I can't do
Mandalorians
that."
never take their
Yeah,
helmet
they
off.
don't, and Emily
Your
loved it.
daughter like committed.
She did, she did. Um,
That's just
I think
great.
those are my favorites right there. But I would say top number one for me would be probably the escalator video.
That's just.
Absolutely.
Oh, I mean, just. Well, I'm glad you guys both see. I like the fact that this is just going along. I forgot to ask one question. I'll start with Rick. What are your cosplays planned for this year? You know, before this comes out and after this video comes out.
Hmm. So I have, like I mentioned, we're doing Ant-Man, so I'm gonna be Scott Lang, and Jason's gonna do Hank Pym.
Hank Pym.
What else? I want to
Nice.
do, so I want to do two that are related. So one, I really want to do Phantom of the Opera, um,
Ooh.
and I'd like to do one that's a Star Wars mashup. I've talked about it with Jason and with a couple other friends. That's an Anakin, Eric, the Phantom mashup. So it'll be basically the Phantom of the Opera, but the mask will be a Vader mask. Um,
Oh, that's gonna be cool to see.
Oh, I can
so
3D print you that.
oh yeah, or we could just break another helmet.
Sure.
Um, and so Jason, we talked with a friend of ours, Erica. She wants to do a crossover between Christine Daae and Padme, and
Christine
then
Pame.
exactly Christine
Yeah,
Padme. And then Jason would do Raul Juan
that's their
Kenobi.
rule, right? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Raul one
exactly.
can oh, I can't wait to see that one.
Yeah. What else do I have planned? Uh, I really want to do, like I said, the shirtless Anakin. I'm really obsessed with the whole idea of doing every single version of Anakin I possibly can, and I feel like the ones that I have left are all the shirtless ones. So I really want to do those.
Nice.
Um, uh, I think those are all the ones that I can think of right now.
Nice. And I wrote down a list because I do it just to remind myself. Instead of like writing all the Anakins you've done, I just wrote Anakin cosplays.
Yeah, exactly. Because they're all behind me actually.
Oh yeah.
At least all my different wigs.
Oh man.
I, I I'd love to
I
do
just
Vader one day.
oh that'd be cool and I think it'd be cool if you guys did Vader's broken mask and
We did,
huh?
we did that one.
Oh
Jason actually
Actually,
broke it
we
for me.
I actually
won.
broke it with
Yeah.
the Dremel, not my lightsaber. But
So
Right.
you did the scene from the Kenobi
Obi-Wan
the
Kenobi. Yeah.
Obi Nice.
Yeah. So I actually,
um,
one of my proudest things that I've done, and it's not like it's not super screen accurate, but I got like a bald cap, I got some prosthetic scars, and I've done the unmasked Vader look from both Return of the Jedi and from Obi-Wan Kenobi. It takes a lot of work, and the second time I really messed it up because I actually was looking in the mirror and I put the scars on the wrong side. So when I finally, after all this work where Jason broke my mask and I spent the whole day putting on this makeup and prosthetics together, I put it on and I'm like, why can I not see the scars through the crack? And I realized, oh no, I was looking in the mirror and I got mixed up and put them on the wrong side.
Do
So I
you
was really disappointed.
nice.
Yeah.
Do you
when I,
plan on oh go wait,
I'm
what?
sorry, go on. Oh no, I was about to say. I think one of my favorite things that Rick and I do is on social media is we recreate scenes,
Ah,
and my two that I think we did is our best was both from the Kenobi show. The one my daughter was Leia, and I was Obi-Wan, and not both of our costumes are not screen accurate at all. Like the show had just dropped,
oh yeah,
and
and I
it's
remember
us
people
when
like
we're
left and
walking.
right were just
Oh
wanting
yeah,
to cosplay from that show.
but my favorite two things that we created is that me and her were walking on Manpuzo, and Obi-Wan hallucinates and he thinks he sees Anakin. And we went to this place in Silicon Valley that really could almost be Manpuso. Um,
Oh
and
that's
he's off in the distance, and my daughter's like Ben, and I'm like stay close. Um, and the other one we did was the end of episode 2 before they go to Manfuso, where Obi-Wan realizes Anakin's alive, and the camera's zooming on my face, and it's not my daughter, it's actually Vivian Laura Blair, because we just used the original
Oh
sound.
yeah.
But she's like, Ben, and then I just go Anakin, and then it goes to Rick, who's topless, bald, tubes. It looks like he's in a back to tank, and it just plays that ominous music.
Such an impactful scene,
But
man.
like, I think that those are probably our best recreations. I think. Would you say, Rick?
Oh yeah.
Have we ever come close to those?
For videos,
Stuff?
yeah, I would say for visuals, the photo shoot we did with Mark Edwards is the best visually that we recreated things. But as far as like actual like using scenes and like audio, I think you're right. I think those two.
Those one, but you're right. The one we did with Mark Edwards, the Your New Empire,
Oh yeah,
like
those pictures look like they're straight out of the movie.
yeah. Oh, there's that we
Nice.
did. Right now, Rick and I are just going on a tangent again. But yeah,
Memory lane.
the one of us with the sabers is my favorite. Actually, my favorite Obi-Wan that I've ever.
It's still is it still your phone background?
I have a rotating phone background now, but it's
Oh, okay.
it's my work laptop.
Oh, there
Desktop.
you go.
Nice. So I gotta ask real quick, what did you use to smash the helmet to make it look?
I dremeled it.
Oh,
I
okay.
took a Dremel.
Oh,
And
that's pretty clever.
yeah,
Uh,
I dremeled it, and this is probably not healthy. Then I took like a lighter, and I just tried to just to sear
to make
it,
it
just
look
so
like it got
it
hit by a
melted.
lightsaber.
You
Yeah,
didn't wear a
I
mask or
mean,
anything.
that's like
no,
the
no
Goggles.
mask.
that's like the second time. I think what that yeah that would be Vader's second or first time he
First
got.
broken
That's his
mask.
first
Oh, that's
cut.
right
Ahsoka
because
cuts it next.
see, I
Chronologically.
would like to see you in I know you guys done a group cosplay with I can't remember her name, but she's cosplayed as your Ahsoka.
Jazzy.
Chaz,
Yeah,
yeah. That one nerdy fangirl.
that'd be cool if you guys could recreate that scene because that scene from Rebels when when he says Ahsoka, anytime I see that clip on YouTube, it gives me chills. Anyway, we're not
Hmm.
talking about Star Wars. That's for a completely different time.
A good story for another time.
Pretty much. Jason, same question. What cosplays will you have done by the time this is out, and what cosplays do you plan on doing afterwards? Again, I know with time and
Yeah, so
everything.
I'm doing Henry Jones Sr., which is basically done. I still need to get the bag and the umbrella. I have the Grail Diary. I think I have everything for Henry Jones Sr. Um, I'm probably doing Death Watch from the Mandalorian. Sometimes I want to break out of the Star Wars. Like I love Star Wars, but it feels like all my cosplays are like, oh, I'm doing Death Watch, and then I'm doing this Obi-Wan and that Obi-Wan. So I'm also doing another version from Obi-Wan from the show that I want to do, where what he wears when he fights Vader, in episode 5 and 6 he wears, and then Frank Pym, which is basically my Henry Jones senior suit, but I'm gonna gray my hair. I'm old, but I'm lucky that I still have hair and that it's not super gray. So I'm gonna gray that and wear a regular tie through a bow tie. And then
Nice.
I have a few dream cosplays I want to do, but I just don't see that happening in 2023. Those might be 2024, 2025 projects.
What? Yeah. By the way, what is your one dream cosplay like? It's the one you always want to do but never had the chance to do it.
Uh, I don't do it because financial reasons. I would love to do an Iron Man cosplay. Um, I love Heartbreaker. It's my favorite armor. Emily the engineer, she's a 3D printer. She does a great Heartbreaker. And then I would love. I'm old. One of my other dream cosplays I'd love to do is an original 1978 Cylon from Battlestar Galactica. I just love
With the red
with
dot
the
going
eye that
back
goes back
and
and forth. I remember that WonderCon that I attended years ago with the first Iron Man. A Cylon walked in. They had the warble of the eye going back and forth,
oh,
and I was just like, "Oh my god,
remi-
that's
I
amazing!"
like when people do that. Reminds me of I can't remember the show. It came out from the '60s, but the robot's name was Robbie or something.
Yeah, so there's Robbie the
Forbidden
robot,
Planet.
and then that's Forbidden Planet, and then there's the B9 robot from Lost in Space, who I would love to have a B9 robot too. It
Yeah.
we could do a whole other podcast on being old
Oh yeah.
and
No.
what it was like before Star Wars and after Star Wars,
Oh
but the
yeah.
B9 was great.
There's yeah. Rick, what is your all-time dream cosplay? Like a character you always wanted to do.
Um, Definitely Vader. I think I mentioned that before, that it would be really cool to have the full Vader costume. I essentially when I did the unmasked Vader, I got
His
a
cosplay is
rubies.
not, and that outfit is not cheap.
Oh no, 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 no. That would be, thousands and thousands of dollars. And but like what I did just to again for to TikTok cosplay, I got a cheap rubies Vader costume that was like $100. That's cheap. And I used that to just make it look like I was wearing
And
something.
you use the Ruby's
Um,
helmet too, I've noticed.
well, this one's not the rubies helmet. This one is I actually have the box for it.
Is
This
that the
was
Black
the
Series?
Black Series exactly. So
Oh,
so the helmet is cool, but the rest of the costume is very cheap.
oh yeah, no,
Um, and
the Black Series helmet is not cheap either.
the broken one is probably rubies or something to that
Yeah,
effect.
it looks like a Ruby's one.
Yeah. But I'd love to do Vader. One random one that it's not so much that it's a dream cosplay, but I keep saying I'm gonna do it and I haven't done it. Is Spock from what is it, the fifth Star Trek movie where they go to the Monterey Bay Aquarium.
Yeah.
And he's wearing like the white robes and he like uses a headband to cover up his ears. So, we're not that far from Monterey. So I've always wanted to go to the Monterey Bay Aquarium dressed up as that version of Spock because I just think it'd be
Ooh,
hilarious. So that
that'd
one's
be
I've been planning that for years and never done it. So
that'd be pretty
someday.
cool. So last question before we end this, go back to you, Jason. What advice, just in general, would you like to give to those that are listening and watching this?
In what regards?
Just just cosplay in general, stuff like cosplays for
I think
everyone, stuff like that.
I think well, cosplay is for everyone. I think don't worry about what other people think. I think just have fun. I don't think it really matters as far as like race or gender or whatnot. If you love a character, then cosplay it and just have fun doing so. And yeah, that would be my advice. Is just if you love a character, don't listen to anyone else. Just cosplay it.
Some pretty sound advice. Same question for you, Rick.
I was about to say that. Just kidding. No,
He
I
said
mean
the
like
two.
I think I think I agree with Jason that ultimately the goal is to have fun. I think I got a little ahead of myself before when I was giving advice, but essentially, you know, figure out what it is that you want to do and go for it. I obviously I'm doing a lot of this because I want to make friends, because I want, people on social media to see me. I want to embody the characters that I love. I want to just have fun with friends. I know someone else who that's not her goal at all. Like her goal is, she's saying, I want there to be more diverse representation in this cosplay community, and that's why I'm in this as a, person of color. I want to, be, you know, be more of an example for other people. And so, I'm like, okay, that's very different from kind of my goals. So, just, figure out what is it that you want to do, what makes you happy, and just go for it. It doesn't matter what costume it is, doesn't matter what character it is, with a level of quality, doesn't matter if you go to cons or not go to cons, if you join clubs or don't join clubs, just, focus on what you want to achieve and be happy. And just, don't lose sight of what, the reason that you got into it, because what happens when you've been in this, in this hobby for a while is you kind of get a little jaded, and suddenly the things that maybe seemed, really cool at first, suddenly you're like, oh, okay, I've seen that. I've been to plenty of cons. I've seen that before. Lots of people have done this costume, so you don't have that sort of that sense of wonder that you had at the very beginning. But if you just, remember why you got into this in the first place, and that ultimately all of this is for fun. It's not a competition. You don't have to compete with yourself either. Then you can continue having fun, and that sense of wonder won't leave you.
That that's honestly some really sound advice, honestly. So before we end this, I'll go back to Jason. As I've been doing recently, would you like to promote yourself by letting people know where they can find you on social media?
Yeah, sure. I'm on TikTok and Instagram. Um, and it's just all one word now because I changed my Instagram name to just one word. So it's Lebo, Lebo one WAN Kenobi, Kenobi. That's one word, Lebo one Kenobi on Instagram and TikTok.
And same question for you, Rick. Would you like to promote yourself by letting people know where they can find you on social media?
Sure, you can find me by finding Jason. It's really easy. People, people are like, "Hey, I know you." I'm like, "From where?" And they're like, "From Jason." Um, but no, I'm
I
at
get the reverse of that all the time too.
exactly. So I'm Rick Nerdvarro. So that's RickNerdvarro. And yes, that Star Wars planet was named after me, the Nerdvarro planet. No, I wish. So yeah, and I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok, I'm on Twitter, pretty much, all of the big social media platforms. I'm probably on it.
Nice. And link to both will be in the description below. I think about this should do it. Again, Jason, Rick, thank you for coming on to share your guys' cosplaying convention experience. Cannot wait to see what more Star Wars characters you do and other cosplays you do and conventions you do for this year. Yeah.
Have a great rest of your August, everyone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hope you.
Enjoy your ride. I hope you all have fun.
Hope you're having fun in August and be safe on Labor Day.
And as always, I'm Wayne the Unknown. Until next time, thank you for listening, and as always, thank you for watching, and may the force be with you.